Welcome to Churches. Turkey. Straddling two continents, shaped by millennia of empires, and rich in spiritual legacy, Turkey is a land where history breathes through stone, scripture, and sacred space. Known in ancient times as Asia Minor, and later as the heartland of the Byzantine and Ottoman empires, this nation has long been a crossroads of civilizations. From the shimmering Bosphorus in the west to the high plateaus of the east, Turkey holds a unique place in the story of faith. Today, it is a predominantly Muslim country, yet its soil cradles the roots of Christianity. From Mount St. Benedict, Trinidad and Tobago, Curtis Marcellin embarks on a journey of enlightenment. To Turkey. This is the land of the seven churches of Revelation. The birthplace of St. Paul. The home of early Christian councils, ancient cathedrals, hidden chapels, and vibrant Christian communities, some surviving, others remembered only by stone and story. In this series, Curtis Marcellin journeys through time and terrain to explore the sacred architecture and spiritual significance of churches across Turkey. Welcome to Churches. Turkey. To begin the series on churches in Turkey, Curtis chose to visit sites where early Christians lived, worked and worshipped. For this, he flew to Cappadocia from Istanbul. Cappadocia is a place of otherworldly beauty. Some describe it as a whimsical fairy tale landscape, and consider it a geological oddity with its chimney-like rock formations, honeycombed hills and stark towering boulders. It is this soft volcanic rock which early peoples found useful in their quest for refuge and safety. Throughout the whole of Cappadocia, there is evidence of cave dwellings and places of worship carved within these rock formations, making it one of the world's most striking and largest cave-dwelling complexes. Curtis began at the Gorim National Park, which covers an area of 100 square kilometers, and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Gorim National Park is an open-air museum, costing about €20 to enter, about $23. While you can opt for a guided tour, you can also explore on your own. The site is managed and monitored by the Turkish government and conservation authorities, valued as a major religious or spiritual center of early Christianity, and a place of great natural beauty. Here we see Curtis getting ready for the rough terrain, adopting local garb and transport. Most of the rock-carved churches date from the Byzantine period, that is, from the 7th to the 11th centuries. However, there is evidence of monastic life as early as the 4th century. Persons known as anchorites first inhabited these caves in order to live a life of seclusion and prayer. They took a vow of stability of place, so that they lived in permanent cells hewn from the rocks. Later on, persons used the cave to hide from any perceived threat. The size of the caves varied according to use. There are small monk cave cells, larger spaces for agricultural produce, graves and tombs, and communal areas acting as refectories. Dark Church, Gorim, features the finest images of Christ Pantocrator in Cappadocia. Bright and penetrating, they appear in 3 consecutive domes. There is a separate fee to enter because all the frescoes and paintings are superbly preserved. The tight spaces within these walls allow artists to make a theological point. For example, in the Dark Church, Old Testament prophets face towards gospel scenes that they prophesied about in advance. Early images present Jesus as a stoic figure sitting on a throne with a scroll. In the 600s, Christ Pantocrator emerged as a simplification of that early image. The look of Christ Pantocrator has hardly changed in the last 1,500 years. Curtis chose as his next stop the Olara Valley, which is a 14-kilometer deep river canyon in western Cappadocia, carved by the Melindez River. Today, this is a popular route for hikers, backpackers, and rock climbers. Compared to the area around Gorim, it is a lush green river valley with towering cliffs. Many say that the hike felt close to a deep walk meditation. The canyon provided a fertile microenvironment and secure refuge for Byzantine Christians in medieval times. Monks carved out their churches and homes from the rock. It is estimated that up to 80,000 people may have lived here at one time. Today, hiking the valley route gives you the opportunity to visit 16 of the 105 churches which are open to visitors with intact painting, carvings and frescoes. Hiking trails on both sides of the river are well maintained. The Olara Valley is an official open-air museum, with an entry fee of €15 or $17. However, many churches have fallen into disrepair and are unsafe to visit. They are open to the elements and will eventually crumble. Even those that are now intact, or semi-intact, will ultimately disappear. Along the Olara Valley, Curtis visited the Allah Church. It is one of the largest cave churches in Cappadocia. It has a cross-and-square plan, hence it is also known as the Church of the Holy Cross. The Allah Church was a community church for the nearby village of Byzantine Orthodox Christians. What is significant about this church is the ornate monumental facade carved into the cliff face. Usually, cave churches had small concealed entrances. This suggests that the church was built around 1000 AD when Cappadocia was a major center of early Christian monasticism. Inside, a striking feature is the massive dome, supported by 4 columns. The dome is decorated with frescoes depicting scenes from the life of Jesus Christ and other biblical figures. Although the interior was fully plastered and painted, only the upper walls still have paintings. The main arches under the central dome have saints, on the front and back arches, and Old Testament prophets, under the side arches. Roundels with saints also appear under the arches of the transepts. Narrative scenes appear on the lunette above the arches. They include, Entry into Jerusalem, Last Supper, Visitation, Dormition, and Anastasis. The pillars contain full-size standing images of church fathers and military saints. Monks were also engaged in economic activity. Here we see the huge wooden screw that rotated a linseed oil press, as well as the pool carved below to collect the produce.
Like a flower and mustard seed. So in the middle, we are calling it the tent. They were just putting...
In the period between the 9th and 12th centuries, the period of the establishment of the monasteries in the Olara Valley, linseed oil was quite important for the inhabitants.
And the oil is dripping down there. It is how they were getting the oils.
13th century, huh?
Yeah. So you can see the blackness in these holes, because those are all for light. And since they are burning some oils.
Our guide Bex could not help bursting into song, demonstrating the still effective acoustics of the Allah Church.
Sana söylediklerimi kafana takma ne olursun. Onlar ipe sapa gelir şeylerdir. Seni sevmiyorum dedim, yalandı. İstemiyorum artık palavra.
A somewhat poignant note, as the future of this church, like many others in the Olara Valley, is uncertain. Do you know that the names of 3 early Christian church theologians are related to Cappadocia? They are called the Capidocian Fathers. All of them lived in 4th century AD. Saint Basil the Great served as bishop of Caesarea, now known as Caesarea, in Cappadocia. His brother, Saint Gregory of Nyssa, served as bishop of Nyssa. And Saint Gregory of Nazianzus was born in Cappadocia, and served as Archbishop of Constantinople. Supporting each other, these three men created a unified way of Christian thinking and living. In particular, Saint Basil the Great is credited with creating a new model of Christian settlements where the emphasis was on communal living and disciplined worship under supervision of a priest. Often, in such early Christian communes, both the monastics and lay people lived together. It is believed that the Gorim open-air museum used to be such a monastic settlement. All three are venerated as saints by Roman Catholics, Anglicans, Lutherans, Orthodox Christians, and Orthodox Orientals.
Hi, I'm Curtis Marcellin from the skies of Cappadocia, Turkey, thanking you for joining me in yet another episode of Churches. Peace.